On the air, first and third Sunday, 7 p.m., W5FC. FC.
CQ, KI5LPQ. KI5LPQ, KI5 NLN. How's it going? Sure. I'm glad I can open up the repeater. I've got a new radio and new antenna installation, so you are my first contact. Thank goodness.
You're coming in loud and strong. I would have thought you've been hitting it for a while. It sounds perfect.
That's great, because it's been quite a day. Trying to climb around in the attic and deal with patch cords and make sure my SWR is okay so I don't blow up the units and all the rest of it. So I'm tired. I need a shower, I think.
Control your military. But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet. Like, Skynet's about to start, so I guess we better get off KI5 NLN monitoring.
Sir, KI5 LPQ clear.
Does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin the 9 p.m. Skynet? This is KF5 PDS. My name is Billy, and I'll be your net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the pro sign break break and your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me. And stations are reminded to ID at the end of your transmissions. This weekly net operates on 146.880 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using the W5FC-R station ID or Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Go to www.w5fc.org right now for the complete list, and remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. The net is 90 minutes long and is structured in several parts. General announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, where and when you can look through a telescope, National Space Society events, discussion topic of the evening, Was Up, space exploration and space history, constellation of the week, space launches of the week, recent astronomical discoveries, visible satellite passages over the next couple of days, astronomical Q&A, and our 73 round. All amateurs licensed to transmit on this frequency are invited to check in. So at this time, I'll turn the net over to my alternate net control, Tom, KE5ICX, if you will do the check-in honors, please.
Miss Philly, this is Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray. My name is Tom. I'll be the alternate net control station for this evening. So I will take low power short time check-ins. If you're one of those, please come with your call sign phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from. Let me know if you're low power short time. Please come now.
Whiskey Oscar India, William and Alan, short time.
This is Whiskey 5, Golf, Uniform Sierra, Gus, far, far northeast Dallas, low power, 4 watts.
Kilo India 5, Lima, Papa, Quebec, John and Alan, short time. We've got N5WY, William, Allen, short time, W5GUS, Gus, far, far northeast Dallas, low power, 4. Whoops, I missed the button. W5GUS, Gus, far, far northeast Dallas, low power, 4 watts, and I got KI5LPQ, that's John and Allen, short time. Any other low power short time, please come now. This is Bravo, number 4, Mike, Foxtrot, India, WV4MFI, Ted, Dallas, low power, long time.
Echo 5, Romeo, Lima, Romeo, Mike, South Plano, low power.
We picked up 2 more. I got WV4, MFI, Ted, Dallas, low power, a long time. I got you in there. KE5RLR, Mike, South Plano, low power. Anyone else before we continue? Low power short time, please come now. As is custom, I'll go ahead and ask any of the checked-in folks here, your low power short time, which means short time, you can go away at any time. Low power means you can go away at any time. Does anybody have any announcements that they would like to bring to the net right now, please come now with your call sign. Okay, here we go. Regular general check-ins. Please come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from. Here we go.
One Golf Bravo Delta, Guy in Lake Highland.
Bravo, Bravo. Bill and Irving. So, Foxtrot 5, Zulu, Bravo, Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch. So, Golf 5, Uniform, Foxtrot, Romeo, Jacob and Dallas.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Papa Hotel, John, Plano.
Alpha Golf 5, Papa Mike, Rich and Rockwall, AG 5 PM.
Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brenda and DeSoto.
This is Alpha 5, Alpha Hotel, Robert Richards. Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James in North Carrollton.
This is KF5, JHA, Chaz in Mesquite.
We'll go ahead and start there. Let me start at the top. I got Guy in Lake Highlands. I got Kilo and then Bravo Delta. Guy, I'm a little slow writing, so could you give me your full call again?
Yes, sir. I don't think it was necessarily you. I'm getting used to this new foot switch, so I might have keyed off. It's Kilo 1 Golf Bravo Delta, Guy in Lake Highlands, K1 GBD.
Right, thanks. I got Kilo 1 Golf Bravo Delta, Guy in Lake Highlands. Gotcha. I got N5BB, Mr. Bill in Irving. I got K5ZBL, the other Mr. Bill in Farmers Branch. There is the Mirror episode, so there's a good Bill and a bad Bill over on Me TV. KG5USR, Jay in Dallas. I got KG5PPH, John in Plano. AG5PM, Rich in Rockwall. WB5OZL, Miss Brenda in DeSoto. Yes, she's in the evil universe. AA5AH, Robert Richardson. KG5W, Victor Lima, James in North Carrollton. K5JJ, Chaz in Mesquite. He straddles the pun and the mirror universe. I'll take additional check-ins. Please come now with your call sign, your name, where you're transmitting from.
Kilo Golf 5, Uniform, Kilo Uniform, David, Mesquite.
Hey, I got KG5UKU, David, over in Mesquite. All right. The Echolink people are feeling like they're being ignored. I'm not ignoring it. Well, actually, I was. But I'm not anymore. If you're on Echolink and you would like to join tonight's net, please come with your call sign phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from. Echolink only, I'll give you extra time because I know you're slow. Please go ahead.
Net Control, this is Whiskey 0, Mike Bravo Charlie, Shane.
And Bethany, Blue Springs. Hi, Dallas.
Kilo 5, Juliet, Delta Whiskey, John in Norman, Oklahoma.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo, Zulu, Whiskey, J near Weatherford.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and take that as it is. I think everybody else has checked in who's over on Echolink. By the way, there's a lot of fun over on Echolink. Many other conversations going on. Good, bad, and indifferent. Okay, I've got KG5UKU, that's David in, oh, wait, I already got you. W0MBC, that's Shane and Bethany in Blue Springs, Missouri. I got you both checked in. I got K5JDW, John in Norman, Oklahoma, in his luxurious home up in Oklahoma City. I got KG5BZWJ near Weatherford, but not in Weatherford. Someday he'll call us from Weatherford. I'll go ahead and open the net up to anybody who'd like to check in. Please come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from. This is Skynet. Go ahead.
This is Kilo Golf 5 Echo India Uniform, David, St. Paul, Texas.
That one was rough. I got KG5EIU, David in St. Paul. I heard you fine. The next call was a Kilo Golf 5 call, Kilo Golf 5 call, but you dropped out of the repeater. If you think that's you, please increase power, improve position, whatever it takes. You were dropping in and out. We'll try one more time. The Kilo Golf 5 call, please come again. This is Golf 5 Hotel Juliet, Frank from McKinney. The Kilo Golf 5 Hotel Juliet, you dropped out again. It could be a mic issue, I'm not sure. You're a little weak into the repeater. Try one more time. Give me your call twice and your name twice, please. Kilo Golf 5 Alpha Hotel Juliet. Frank, that was Kilo Golf 5 Alpha Hotel Juliet. Frank, transmitting from McKinney. Third time's turn, Frank. I got you. Kilo Golf 5 Alpha Hotel Juliet. Frank somewhere, but I got you checked in. The next station, you were also weak. You were a whiskey call. Would you try again? Give me your call twice and your name twice. Either I can't hear you or the signal is just kind of a little weak. Try again. All right, no problem. We'll get everybody in. Anyone else would like to check in, please come with your call sign, your name, and where you're transmitting from.
Kilo India 5, Mike India Bravo, Arlington, Texas.
All right, I have to admit, I got Mike Zulu Bravo as the suffix there, and I'll pick you up. I will say, so far the repeater's doing okay tonight. There is a work crew headed out tomorrow morning to improve the antenna orientation, which was off during the high storms that we had. But it's been fairly clear tonight. But the Mike Zulu Bravo call, give me your prefix and, well, give me your full call again and your name, please.
Kilo India 5, Mike India Bravo, Arlington.
I got a Kilo India 5, and I got Mike India Foxtrot. I think that may be a different call. Is that correct? Just let me know.
Suffix is Mike India Bravo.
The Mike India Bravo on the suffix. Okay, I gotcha. Kilo India 5, Mike India Bravo. Does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
All right, excellent. It was a little tough tonight, but I got you. Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to check in, please come to your call sign, name, and where you're transmitting from. I'll send it back to net control. This is KE5ICX. We're up to 24 check-ins. Back to you, net control, KE5ICX.
Great. Thank you very much, Tom, and welcome to all who have checked in to Skynet. This is KF5PDS, Billy, your net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. All right, let's go on with start our program with general announcements. So do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? These can be ham, astronomical, space, or of general interest to licensed hams. If you have an announcement, please come now with your call sign. Okay, not hearing any announcements, any calls being made, so I'll go ahead with a few announcements of my own. The AMSAT Radio Amateur Satellite Group has 2 nets available to Dallas residents on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Time. You'll need Echolink installed and you registered. You can find the net under Groups and AMSAT. Also, a live audio link is available on their website at www.amsatnet.com. This net originates in Houston, Texas. The Dallas AMSAT-Net East, Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, is every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on this repeater, 146.880 megahertz, with a PL tone of 110.9. Tom N5HYP is the net control. All are welcome to check in. First Tuesday of the month is the DARC Club night, so there's no AMSAT East on that Tuesday night. Dallas AMSAT-Net West is every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. on the Arlington repeater, 147.140 megahertz, with a PL tone of 110.9 and a positive offset. The DARC hosts several Monday night nets. First Monday of the month is Ham Fixin's Net. This net is, we go over lots of wonderful recipes, so if you have a recipe to bring to the net or you just want to listen to all the recipes, or if you have a question about food, anecdote about food, you name it, Ham Fixins will discuss all food related. Second week, Monday is MCOM 101, Emergency Communications. For the third Monday, come back for a second helping of Ham Fixin's Net. And for fourth Monday is GeekNet. Fifth week is a surprise net. If we told you what it is, it wouldn't be a surprise. On-air participation is encouraged. On Tuesdays, AMSAT East at 8 p.m., there's Q&As, info, and news for amateur satellites. Fridays is CERT City, 7:30 p.m., learn about emergency radio communications via CERT-trained amateur radio operators. Melissa, KI5GRH, is usually net control. Visit the most disaster-prone city in the universe every Friday, CERT City. All are welcome. And Saturdays is the Night of Nets with TechNet from 7 to 8 p.m. and, of course, Skynet at 9 p.m. And at 10:30, we'll talk about the Afterglow Movie Net. First and third Sundays is Dallas Amateur Radio Club meeting on the air. Daily, there is Lunch Bunch at 12 noon, Monday through Friday. There's always a survey question. Eat lunch with us. ARRL Net, National Traffic System Training Net, is every night at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. All are welcome to check in on any or all of these nets. And as I mentioned, following Skynet on Saturday night at 10:30 is the Afterglow Movie Net. If you're new to the net, this is how the Afterglow works. We usually discuss a movie that we've chosen from the previous week. We keep a running list. Suggestions are welcome. And after the Afterglow Net, after we discuss the movie, then we will pick another one for the following week. We'll watch it sometime during the week just on our own, and then we convene at 10:30 on Saturday night and discuss the movie. We discuss plot, characterization, special effects, music, any trivia related to the movie. So come and enjoy the Afterglow Movie Net. So you can keep up with all DARC events, nets, and activities by going to the club website, w5fc.org. At this time, I'll turn the net over to Tom, KE5ICX, to give us tonight's Afterglow info.
Thank you, Miss Billy. This is KE5ICX. And now listen up, everybody. I get awards. Well, no, I don't. But I would get awards because of the highly accurate story synopses that I do. So here it is. The Man of Steel was enjoying a day off and happily etching Superman Loves Lois in one of his favorite phone booths when the call came. His super-sensitive ears heard the cry for help. Instantly, he changed and flew to a rural emergency. When he arrived, Timmy, the boy who called for help, had already been pulled from the well by a beautifully groomed dog named Lassie. Foiled again, thought the Krypton alien. Another call. This time, terrorists in Paris attempting to blow up the Eiffel Tower. At supersonic speed, Superman arrived. The dog beat him to the site. This time, Lassie had expertly chewed the detonation wire and had the three terrorists cornered in the gift shop. Superman headed home, dejected. He decided to visit Lois, his secret girlfriend. When he opened the door to her apartment, who could he see but Lassie? Not only moving in on his girlfriend, but also out on the future. Cute dog was no match for the crime fighter. Join us for the next Afterglow movie, Superman. Yep, it's superfluous. Superman the movie from 1978. We'll be talking about tonight at 10:30 p.m. Back to net control. This is KE5ICX.
Great. Thanks a lot, Tom. Always look forward to your descriptions. They're great. You can keep up with all the DARC events, nets, and activities by going to the club website, w5fc.org. All right, next up is Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, where and when you can look through a telescope. So if there's someone on frequency who would like to give us information about the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas, please come now with your call sign.
F5JHA.
Good evening, KF5JHA. Chaz, if you'll please give us information about Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas.
you, Billy. There was a meeting of Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas last night on Friday, March the 26th, with Michael Gordon. Technical issue. Michael Gordon is the Chief Executive Officer of Back to Space, based in Richardson, Texas. His talk was titled Back to Space. This project will build the world's largest moon map in Jacksboro. Yeah, okay. Groundbreaking is scheduled in about 45 days. Okay. The next Texas Astronomical Society Club meeting will be on Friday, April the 23rd at 7:30 p.m. The featured speaker is Erin McDonald, and I'm not sure what her topic will be. TAS Club members will receive an email to the link. It's a Zoom meeting, probably about a week in advance of the meeting. Hopefully later this year, TAS will resume having face-to-face meetings, I hope, and maybe we'll resume having public observing sessions too. To get more information, go to their website, texasastro.org, for updated information and details. This is KF5JJ. Back to our net control, Billy, KF5 PDS.
Great, thank you very much, Chaz. All right, next up is National Space Society events and activities. So at this time, I'll turn that over to Bill, N5BB, if you'll give us information about the National Space Society.
Hope you can hear me okay. The noise on the repeater seems to be getting worse. This is N5BB, November 5 Bravo Bravo. I happen to be the membership director of the North Texas chapter of the National Space Society. If you have any questions about the National Space Society or the local chapter, and especially if you want to join either one, you can send me an email at space@byrom.net. That's SPACE at BYROM.net. Or my amateur radio call sign, November 5 Bravo Bravo, at ARRL.net. N5BB at ARRL.net. Either one gets to me. Our next meeting, which is virtual until the pandemic ends, is going to be about 2 weeks from tomorrow on Sunday, April the 11th, starting at 4 p.m. It'll be on WebEx. I don't yet know the exact title of the presentation, but again, if you want to be a visitor to any of our presentations or meetings, you can send me an email. I'd be glad to help you there. That's it right now. There's a lot of things going on in space. In particular, SpaceX is getting ready to try another Starship launch. It's rumored for them to be trying to do this early this coming week. In 5 years. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Bill. Yeah, this is KF5 PDS, Billy, your net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. All right, next up is discussion topic of the evening. So for my topic this evening, I've been trying to find some more daytime sky events because we announced in our preamble for our net that we covered nighttime and daytime sky. So I've been trying to find some daytime phenomena that we can learn about and enjoy. So this information comes to us from Sky and Telescope at skyandtelescope.org. That's an article written by Fred Schaff from July 18th, 2006, entitled Catch the Green Flash. So he gives a personal account and then goes into information about the green flash. So here's his personal experience with the green flash. One day many years ago, I visited a southern New Jersey beach and watched the sunset. The sand glowed with a warm gold. A vast expanse of Delaware Bay spread before me with crimson-tinged waves. The huge flattened globe of the sun had dimmed enough for me to look straight at it as its bottom edge touched the distant horizon. I was filled with the grandeur of the scene, thrilled to watch as that fiery globe sank from view, going, almost gone. Sudden the loveliness was pierced by a stronger beauty so intense that it left my jaw hanging. For just a second or two, the last tiny piece of sun gleamed a vivid green. I shouted in surprise and joy on the empty shore. I had just seen the legendary green flash. While people often tell me about their sightings of meteors or halos around the moon, hardly anyone reports seeing the green flash. Why haven't more people witnessed this astonishing phenomenon? The biggest impediment has been misinformation. Many sources claim that the green flash is very rare or only visible in the tropics or seen only at sunsets over the ocean. In reality, mild versions of the green flash are not uncommon in most climates, and even its most spectacular forms don't necessarily require a sea horizon to observe. Furthermore, the phenomenon only rarely appears as a flash. Far more often, you'd see a rapid coloration of the last tiny blip of sun as it sets. The green flash didn't gain public attention until 1882, when it appeared as an important topic in the Jules Verne novel Le Rayon Vert, The Green Ray, as the phenomenon is sometimes known. Verne waxes floridly poetic about the color of the flash, describing it as a most wonderful green, a green which no artist could obtain on his palette, a green of which neither the varied tints of vegetation nor the shades of the most limpid sea could ever produce the like. If there is a green in paradise, it cannot but be of this shade, which most surely is the true green of hope. One of Verne's characters also recalls a Scottish legend that claims that whoever has seen the green flash will never again err in matters of the heart. It's a charming idea. Unfortunately, researchers have never found any trace of the legend in Scottish folklore, so it seems likely that the imaginative French author made it up himself. A rash of green flash sightings and speculations followed in the wake of Verne's book, but these were often made by uncritical observers and writers. They in turn probably helped set off a skeptical and incorrect theory about the cause of the green flash. According to some scientists of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the green flash did not arise in Earth's atmosphere at all, but only in the viewer's eyes. The green flash, they claimed, was the complementary color afterimage created by staring too long at the bright setting sun. You can produce this effect yourself by staring at a red object, say a ripe tomato, in a brightly lit room. After about 15 seconds, switch your gaze to a white surface and you'll see a ghostly bluish-green anti-tomato. Veteran observers pointed out, however, that the green flash could not be an afterimage because it had been seen many times at sunrise when the green appeared before the red of the sun, and by the middle of the 20th century, photographs finally verified once and for all that it was physical, not physiological. However, how then does the atmosphere produce this marvel? There are two optical effects at work: refraction and dispersion. When light enters Earth's atmosphere, it's refracted or bent in the direction of the denser air, in other words, downward. The amazing result of such refraction makes the image of any celestial object we see appear slightly higher than the true position it would occupy if Earth had no air. The effect is greatest at the horizon, where light takes the longest pathway possible through the atmosphere. The typical amount of atmospheric refraction at the horizon is about half a degree, the apparent diameter of the sun or full moon. This means that when we see the sun's bottom edge touch the horizon, the sun's top edge has really just gone below the horizon. What we see is the refracted image of the sun displaced upward by one diameter. But refraction is just part of the story. Have you ever seen a rainbow or used a glass prism to spread sunlight into its spectrum of colors? This occurs because sunlight is composed of a range of wavelengths, colors, each of which is refracted by a different amount. The shorter, bluer the wavelength, the more it is refracted by the atmosphere. So the sun's normal white light or yellow-white image is really composed of disks of different colors at ever so slightly different heights in the sky. The blue light sun hits a bit higher than the green light sun, and so on, with each spectrum of color until the red light sun, which is lowest. The dispersion of wavelengths is small enough, however, that the suns of different colors overlap and produce white, except at the bottom and top of the sun's disk. The very bottom edge is red, the very top edge is blue. I can hear you asking, then shouldn't the last speck of the setting sun be a blue flash? When the atmosphere is exceptionally clear, yes, but our atmosphere scatters or redirects short wavelength light very well. Very little of the sun's blue light ever reaches our eyes directly. The proof of this is all around you on a clear day, the blue sky. Scattering is usually enough to remove blue from beams of sunlight and leave green light to predominate at the sun's top edge. In addition, when the sun hangs low, water vapor in the atmosphere absorbs most of the yellow and orange light, leaving only some green and a whole lot of red, the typical red sun of sunrise or sunset. But suppose you see the sun turn deeply red and noticeably dimmed many minutes before sunset. If that happens, the atmosphere must be humid or hazy enough to absorb even the green light. On such a day, the green flash will not occur. So when the sun stays bright and yellow-white until it is very low, that's your cue to look for a green flash. But will it be visible on any such day? According to experts, yes. There is, however, a catch. It turns out that on most clear, unhazy days, the green flash is such a tiny sliver of light that you'd have to use optical aid to detect it. Yet looking through binoculars or a telescope at the sun without a proper solar filter is normally extremely dangerous. You are likely to suffer eye damage from doing so. An observer absolutely should not look at the sun with even small binoculars unless two conditions are met. First, the bottom of the sun must already touch a very distant horizon, not just be passing behind a mountain or building. Second, the sun must be dimmed enough for the naked eye to look at the solar disk quite comfortably. Most beginners seeking the green flash would be better off relying on eyes alone, no binoculars or telescope, and waiting until the sun is right on a distant horizon. An obvious eyes-only green flash happens when the atmosphere has significant temperature variations and produces anomalous or greater than normal refraction. This can occur over land, but it's more likely to occur over water. In fact, the most common kind of green flash takes place when the surface is distinctly warmer than the layer of air just above it. This happens most often over a body of water, and that's why green flashes are often associated with seashore sightings. That condition, air colder than water at sunset, is common in winter and after the passage of cold fronts in late summer and autumn, but it can occur at any time of the year in most climates, and when it does, you should be alert for a green flash visible to the unaided eye. Such temperature conditions often produce mirages, and seeing them is a good predictor of a green flash. Have you ever seen a mirage? You may think you haven't, but there are many types of mirages besides the classic imaginary oasis that fools a weary traveler in the desert. Almost all of us have driven down a road on a warm, sunny day and noticed what seems to be puddles of water on the street ahead, puddles that disappear as we approach them. The water is really a view of the sky refracted to us because the air just above the road is so much cooler than the very hot road surface. This is an example of an inferior mirage. Inferior means that phantom image appears below the normal below the normal image. The final predictor of the most common variety of green flash is when an inferior mirage image of the sun itself, sometimes called the countersun, seems to peak up above the horizon just as the true sun's bottom edge is about to touch the horizon. In a matter of seconds, the countersun merges with the real sun, creating something that looks a little like the Greek letter omega. When the last piece of the merged pair is left on the horizon, it's an enlarged combination of the green edges of the sun and countersun. It's easily large enough for your eye to detect, and it appears green for just 1 or 2 breathtaking seconds. To see the green flash caused by an inferior mirage, you must usually be standing on a wide expanse of flat ground. There's another kind of mirage that can produce an enhanced green flash if you're higher above ground level, perhaps on a mountain or in a building. That one requires a temperature inversion when warm air lies over cold air. If you see a pair of spikes sticking out of the sides of the sun and these drift up the sun's disk, get ready for them to detach from the top of the sun and vanish in a last-second gleam of green. Catching your first strong green flash may take considerable patience, but it will be worth it. And along the way, you'll see many otherwise spectacular sunsets and wonders of the sky. Everyone loves beautiful sunsets. Why not become a knowledgeable connoisseur of them? One of your rewards will be the emerald or blue-green solar flame, whose sight is more wondrous than even Jules Verne could ever hope to convey. So there's the article Fred Schaff wrote back in 2006 on Catch the Green Flash. Fred Schaff is the author of A Year of the Stars, A Month-by-Month Journey of Skywatching, and many other books about observing the sky. This is KFI PDS Billy, your net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. I wanted to ask, and maybe this open up for a minute or two, has anybody out there in our listening audience caught a green flash, either seen it visually, and have you caught a photograph of it, which would be really wonderful. So I'll just throw that out there. If anyone has an anecdote, personal experience of their own green flash sighting, please come now with your call sign. Okay, not hearing any. So maybe in the future we'll have some time to share again. Maybe someone soon will catch a green flash. So just be careful looking at the sun. As always, take proper precautions. Staring at the sun can be dangerous. So please do protect your eyes. But if anyone does catch a green flash, it would be cool to hear about it or see a photo. And check out the article because there are some photographs in the article on skyandtelescope.org. All right, next up is What's Up. So at this time, I'll turn the net over to our resident professional astronomer, Chaz, KF5JHA. Why don't you tell us about What's Up?
Thank you, Billy. This is Chaz, KF5JHA. My degree's in astrophysics, and I'm the astrophysics lab manager at Dallas College on the Brookhaven campus. We call this segment of Skynet What's Up. Number 2, Slide Master. Face southwest this evening in the sky, and Orion can be found by looking for the 3 stars of equal brightness in a straight line and evenly spaced. This is the belt of Orion. There are 2 stars above the belt that represent Orion's shoulders. The brighter one on the left is Betelgeuse, that's how I pronounce it. Some people call it Betelgeuse. And the other one is, to the right, is Bellatrix. 2 stars below Orion's belt form his knees. One is Sciath, that's on the left, and to the right is Rigel. Slide number 3, please. Now use Orion's belt and draw down to the left. You'll run into the brightest star in the sky other than the sun. It's called Sirius. It's a doggone good star. So use that on Echolink because it's called the dog star. because Sirius is the brightest star in the constellation of the Big Dog, which is Canis Major. Slide number 4, please. If you go back to Orion's belt and draw a line from the belt stars up and to the right, you should run into the brightest star in Carcible, Aldebaran, and keep on going in that line just a little bit more, and you should see a little cluster of faint stars called the Pleiades. Aldebaran's stellar classification is a K5-3. That would be a Roman numeral 3. And Betelgeuse' classification is an M1I, or M1-1. So what are these classifications? Slide number 5, please. Stars are classified by the temperature and the amount of space. The temperature readings are actually letters. The hottest stars are O-type stars, the coolest stars are M-type. The types from hottest to coolest are O, B, A, S, G, K, M. A2, Oscar, Bravo, Alpha, Foxtrot, Golf, Kilo, Mike. That's what we... Actually, there's a Greek mnemonic. O, B, A, girl, kiss me. For more than 30,000 degrees Kelvin. E-type stars are between 30,000 K and type A stars are between 7,500 and galaxies. F-type stars are between 6,000 and 7,500. Type G stars like our Sun between 5,200 and 6,000 degrees Kelvin. Type A stars are between 3,700 and 5,200 Kelvin. And M-type stars are below 3,700 Kelvin degrees. There are 10 subcategories within each type. A type O9 and a type B0 on scale. This is called the Harvard classification system that was developed by Annie in the past Skynet, and I'm sure we'll talk more about on future Skynet. Slide number 6, please. Luminosity classification system of stars are rated in Roman numerals 0 through VII, which is 7. Main sequence stars like our Sun are rated B or 5. Hypergiants are rated as 0, while white dwarfs are rated as VII, which is 7. This system of luminosity classification is called the Morgan-Canaan system. When I attended the Ohio State University, Dr. Canaan was a professor emeritus, meaning he was retired, but still had an office and came in a couple of times a week. I get to see him occasionally in the astronomy department. I remember that graduate students would hand him a glass plate containing a spectra of a star, but orient it backwards to try to fool Dr. Canaan. But Dr. Canaan would immediately reorient the glass plate and hand it back to the graduate student, telling them the exact stellar classification of the star, and he was always right. The Morgan-Canaan classification system of our Sun is G2V, or G2-5. This is KF5, JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide number 7, please. The moon was at its first quarter phase on March the 21st, so the current phase of the moon is a waxing gibbous, but it's really close to full if you go out and look at it, if it's clear enough to do so. On March 28th, that's tomorrow, the moon will be full. On March the 30th, the moon will be at its perigee, which is the point on the moon's orbit which is closest to the Earth. The moon will be at the third quarter on April the 4th, and on April 11th, the moon will be at its new phase. On April 14th, the moon will be at perigee, which is the point on the moon's orbit which is furthest from the Earth. And on April the 20th, the moon will be at its first quarter phase. Number 8, please. On April the 6th, in the early morning sky, covering about 12 degrees, you can find the conjunction of Jupiter, Saturn, and the moon. Slide number 9, please. Exploring the evening sky in April the 16th sky, you'll find Mars and the Moon in conjunction in the western sky. And slide number 10, on April the 24th, looking low in the western evening sky, you can find Venus and Mercury in conjunction. Venus will be the brighter object, and on the left, Mercury will be the right and much dimmer. And slide number 11, on the night of April 21st, 22nd, a Lyrid meteor shower peaks with about 18 meteors per hour. Of course, you see more meteors after midnight. When the moon is in the sky, very few meteors will be seen. On April the 21st, the moon will set around 1 a.m., so after 1 a.m., many more meteors can be seen. Slide number 12, please. This is KF5, JHA, and this is Skynet. So once again, the last task club meetings was last night. It was great. The next one is going to be on April the 23rd at 7:30 p.m. Featured speaker is Aaron McDonald. Not quite sure what the topic is, but I hope to have that information before next week's Skynet. Once again, if you want detailed information about the Texas Astronomical Society, go to texasastro.org. Now, slide number 13, please. Welcome the students from Dallas College on the Brookhaven campus that are listening and watching the Skynet tonight, probably either on YouTube or Facebook. Students, just a reminder, if you want to get stargazing class credit for this, then remember to fill out the form on eCampus by answering the questions, and do this within the next 48 hours. Now, do any of you out there in radio land have any questions or need a fill or on any information, or do you just have a general astronomy question? I don't know everything, but I may know the answer to your question. Come now with your call sign if you have a question.
E5ICX.
Mr. Slide Master, Mr. ICX, what's your question?
Yes, you keep talking about glass plates. Glass plates. What are glass plates, and how do they relate to astronomy? If you can answer that question. I'm all digital, you know. KE5ICX.
Believe it or not, a long time ago, we used something called film to take photographs on, and professional astronomers, because film was floppy and stuff, they actually used glass plates with the emulsion to be able to take photographs. Well, now everyone uses digital, and most astronomers don't even take pictures. They take spectra of objects in the sky rather than actually taking pictures most of the time. So, glass plates, that was what they used instead of film for taking detailed images and storage. By the way, I do have a couple of them, I think, still up from when I took spectra of stars back when I was at Beale State University. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much. And I used glass plates back in 1976 to do some 3D interferometry, I think it was, 3D pictures, which was pretty cool. And I had an instructor who was a professor like you in astronomy. It was pretty darn cool. So I was curious if you knew what it was, because, you know, things change over time and we all get old. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. KE5ICX.
If I remember right. And Beale has the university, we have the astronomy observatory, and we actually had several telescopes. One had a spectrograph that we had to cut our own glass plates and put them in there and get them exposed, and it was a process by getting the spectra of the stars. Okay, that's great. Slide number 8. So if the moon wanes during the first part of March, so these words for this segment of Skynet: stay safe, keep well, pray for our world. It's the only one where humans live. And until next week, keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is KF5JHA, backdoor net control, which is Billy KF5PDS. Thank you, Billy.
Great. Thank you very much, Chaz, for letting us know what's up. All right, next up is space exploration and space history. So at this time, I'll turn the net over to Tom, KE5ICX. And Tom, before you do your segment, if you'll please do a quick check-in round, that would be great. So to KE5ICX from KF5PDS.
Very good. Thank you, Miss Billy. And I've turned up power a little bit. We had major storms in the area earlier this week, and the antenna that is used to do this net, in fact, this location is kind of at an angle, so it's not exactly perfect. So if you are on RF, if you would increase power a little bit, because we don't have optimal signal tonight. So I've doubled my power to the whole left. So you may want to do something like that. Don't overwhelm us, but at the same time you may want to increase power or improve your position or turn your antenna slightly at an angle. I'll go ahead and take additional check-ins. Anybody who'd like to join us this evening, please come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from.
Kilo call 5 Alpha Hotel Juliet, read check.
Hey, KG5AHJ, go ahead.
I took the change of position quite literally. I was transmitting at the beginning of the net up in McKinney, Texas, and now I'm down in Euless, Texas. So I hope that has improved the signal. KG5AHJ.
All right, thank you, Frank. Yeah, it's just, I think the antenna, to be honest with you, here's the thing, everyone. The signal sounded good, and it's deteriorated over time. And what's happened is the antenna mast is at an angle, and I'm not sure beyond that. There is a team that is going to go out to the repeater site tomorrow to fix this. So sorry for the bad transmissions this evening. We just had incredibly heavy winds here over the last couple of days. The repeater, which allows us to communicate over long distances, is on a very tall building, and as such, it is subjected to wind issues. So that's kind of the thing that's going on. My apologies to everybody who's either on Echolink or on the stream or listening in. It's a bit louder than usual. Sorry about that. We'll get this fixed tomorrow. So this is KE5ICX, Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie. My name is Tom, and I have tonight stuff going on, space exploration news, so if you're ready, here we go. Everybody listen in. On Friday, which is yesterday, Starship SN11 managed a static fire around 8 a.m. Central Daylight Time, but after hours of work, SpaceX appeared to have scrubbed the mission on Friday, March 26th. Attempt. The latest Starship test will launch with additional heat shield tiles, a new fuel supply system, and new flight profile to allow for soft return landing at launch. If all goes according to plan on Monday, Starship serial number SN11 will fire up its 3 Raptor engines, verifying their health after an engine was apparently swapped out on Wednesday, possibly just an hour or two later after detanking and retanking liquid oxygen and methane propellant. The Starship prototype could lift off on SpaceX's 4th high-altitude test flight. space-related birthdays, we have March 22nd, 1951, Musa Maroff. He's a Russian engineer cosmonaut from 1978 to 1992, 541 cumulative days in space, graduated from the Moscow Aviation Institute with an engineering diploma in civil engineer. Let's see, he was later director of the Small Stack Tool space flight. I don't know what that is. Flew to orbit on Soyuz TM-4 in 1987 and TM-11. Next up, March 22nd, 1964, birthday, Nicholas James McDonald Patrick. Yeah, that's him. British American engineer, mission specialist, astronaut from 1998 to 2012. 2 space flights for a total of 26.6 days in space. Flew on STS-116 in 2006 and STS-130. Here's a good one. Everybody should know this guy. March 23rd, 1912, Werner von Braun, German-American chief engineer, leader of the rocket team, developed the V-2 Redstone, Jupiter, and Saturn rockets that took the United States to the moon. He made the idea of space travel popular in the 1950s and a reality in the 1960s. On March 24th, 1951, Kenneth Stanley Jr., American test pilot, astronaut from 1987 to 95, 2 space flights, 13.7 days in space, flew on orbit on STS-48, 1991, and STS-60. March 24th, 1957, Dr. Scott J. Horowitz, no, not that Horowitz on Big Bang, wrong. American test pilot astronaut from 1992 to 2004, grew up in Thousand Oaks, California, left NASA for position ATK Thiokol, promoting shuttle-derived vehicles for use as a CEV launch vehicle. 4 space flights, total of 47.4 days in space, flew on STS-75, 82, 101, and 105. Now, Tom Hicks. No, I mean March 25th, 1928, Jim Lovell, American test pilot from 62 to 73, member of the first crew to rendezvous in space and first to orbit the moon at altitude of 401,000 kilometers. 4 space flights, 29.8 days total in space, flew on Gemini 7 in 1965 on that long-duration flight. Super long-duration flight that nobody wanted to fly. Gemini 12 was docking with Agena, Apollo 8, 10 orbits around the moon in December of 1968, and Apollo 13. Yeah, that guy. Tom Hanks. March 26, 1962, Yuri Pavlovich Gazenko. Let's see. Oh, there's a picture of the guy. He looks like he's having too much fun. Ukrainian pilot, cosmonaut from 1987 to 2001. 3 space flights for 329.9 days in space. Flew on Soyuz TM-22 in 95, Soyuz 31, and Soyuz TM-34. This week in space history, from March 21st to 27th, there are literally hundreds of these things. I've pulled out the ones that I think you might find interesting. On March 21st, 1965, Ranger 9 launched from Cape Canaveral. This is the last of the Ranger series. Returned 5,814 images before lunar impact. That's the moon, of course. Target was Alphinosus, a large crater 12 degrees south of the lunar equator. The probe was timed to arrive when lighting conditions would be at their best, with an Atlas Agena B booster injected the Agena and Ranger 9 into an Earth parking orbit at 185 kilometers. March 22nd, 1981, the launch of Soyuz 39 to the Salyut space station. Manitou crew docked with Salyut 6, transported to the orbital space station, the 8th international crew to do so. Same date, 1982, is the launch of STS-3. Chuck Fullerton and Jack Bozeman, a 2-man crew, was NASA's third space shuttle mission. It was the third mission for the Space Shuttle Columbia. It launched on March 22nd, 1982, and landed 8 days later on March 30th. The mission involved extensive orbital endurance testing of the Columbia itself, as well as numerous scientific experiments. STS-3 was the first shuttle launch with an unpainted external tank, and the only mission to land at White Sands Space Harbor near Alamogordo, New Mexico. The shuttle was forced to land at White Sands due to flooding at its originally planned landing site, Edwards Air Force Base. March 23rd, 1965, the launch of Gemini 3, the first manned test flight of the Gemini spacecraft. Virgil I. Gus Grissom and John Young entered an elliptical orbit about the Earth. After 3 orbits, the pair manually landed their spacecraft in the Atlantic Ocean, thus performing the first controlled re-entry. Unfortunately, they landed much further from the landing zone than anticipated, about 60 miles from the aircraft carrier USS Intrepid. But otherwise, the mission was highly successful. Lesson 1 on this date, the Russian space station Mir ended its mission on March 23rd, 2001, when it was brought out of its orbit, entered the atmosphere, and was destroyed. Major components ranged from about 5 to 15 years in age and included the Mir core module, Command 1, Command 2, Crystal, Spectre, Dorada, and the docking module. Although Russia was optimistic about Mir's future, the country's commitments to the International Space Station program left no funding to support Mir. On March 24th, 1992, the launch of STS-45 was a 1992 space mission, shuttle mission using the Space Shuttle Atlantis. Its almost 9-day scientific mission was with a non-deployable payload of instruments. It was the 46th Space Shuttle mission and the 11th for Atlantis. On March 25th, 2014, the launch of Soyuz TMA-12M was the 2014 flight to the International Space Station. It transported 3 members of the expedition, 39 crew to the International Space Station. It was the 121st flight of the Soyuz spacecraft since the first in 67 and the 38th Soyuz mission to the ISS. On March 26, 1958, U.S. Army launches Explorer 3. It was almost identical to Explorer 1, the first satellite the U.S. ever launched. Explorer 3 was the first successful launch in a series after Explorer 1. Yeah, it's kind of circular there. The data from Explorer 3 and 1 led to the discovery of the Van Allen radiation belt. This is a region around the Earth where charged particles from the sun get trapped by Earth's magnetic field. Explorer 3 spent 93 days orbiting the Earth before its orbit decayed. In 2009, Soyuz TMA-14 launched to the International Space Station, as well as, space flight participants. Oh boy, 3 guys, lots of missions. Let's see. March 27th. A lot of stuff happened this week. Phobos 2 mission to Mars, Moon, and failure. The Phobos 2 arrived at Mars orbit 2 months earlier and had been studying Mars and Phobos, the larger of 2 moons. After the final phase of its mission, the spacecraft was getting ready to drop off 2 small landers on Phobos. One lander was actually something called a hopper that could move around on the moon's surface. As Phobos 2 made its way over to Phobos to deploy the landers, mission control suddenly lost contact with it, and the mission was lost. The cause of the failure was determined to be a computer error. Here's my favorite. I have no pictures because there are no pictures, but here you go. You're going to love this one. On March 27, 1963, we had Georgy Nezhibov, Ivan Anikalitov, and Valentin FVEVs were arrested for drunk and disorderly conduct by the militia at the Chelsea Station. I don't know where that is, but it's quite interesting. According to reports, the officers of the security detail that arrested them were willing to ignore the whole incident if the cosmonauts apologized. Phyllis Baxter and Anatov agreed, but Nelyubov refused, and the matter is reported to authorities because there had been previous incidents. All three were dismissed from the astronaut corps on April 17, 1963, though officially not until May 4, 1963. Salyutov never went on a space mission following his dismissal, and eventually became a teacher. To protect the image of the space program, efforts were made to cover up the reason for Salyutov's dismissal. His image was airbrushed out of cosmonaut photos. This airbrushing led to speculation about lost cosmonauts, even though the actual reasons were often mundane. There's one other thing that comes out of this, which I thought was really interesting. Yuri Gagarin, the first guy who walked in space, Yuri Gagarin says that went into space, not walked. That was the other guy. Gagarin says that Fedorov should be fired. Kamenev would prefer to see all three go, but cannot afford to lose 25% of his flight-ready cosmonauts. He would hope that at least to keep Nelyubov, who was a candidate for the third and fourth Vostok flights, but did not perform well on the centrifuge. Very nerdy stuff. But I thought that was really fascinating. These guys got arrested, and then in the end of it, they didn't fly in space again because all they had to do was say, "I'm sorry, I screwed up." Oh well. That's it for me. Back to net control. This is KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom. This is KF5PDS Billy, your net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. And yeah, that other guy who did the first spacewalk ever was Soviet cosmonaut Alexei Leonov. All right. Next up is Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. So at this time, I'll turn the net to Chaz, KF5JHA, if you'll give us information about this week's constellation.
KF5JHA, I hope I'm linking it to the repeater. I'm actually using 50 watts to get my down work.
I hope I'm making it through Echolink. How do I sound?
You're better, Chaz. Try again. Give me a test, please.
So, let me do the introduction. This is Chaz, K5JHA. Slide number 15, Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week is named in honor of Silent T. Carolyn, KC5OZT. Carolyn contributed to Skynet each week from almost its beginning in 2012 until May of 2019, with a detailed look at one particular constellation. Since there are about 52 easily visible constellations seen in pictures throughout the year, out of the 88 total constellations, Miss Carolyn covered the entire sky in a year. In her honor, we have continued that tradition of a constellation per week. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week is actually a twofer, Links the Links and Answer the Crab. So, Tom, how did that sound?
Go ahead, Chaz. Improved, much improved over on Echolink. Thanks. Go ahead. KE5IC.
Thank you very much. Lynx is one of the more recent constellations, first appearing in 1690 on a star map. Slide number 16, please. We have the jokes of the week. We have to do those. When I search a Canadian cat on Google, it just gives me a bunch of links. Okay, that was supposed to be funny. Did you hear about the bobcat who found his long-lost cousin? He followed lynx and his family. Okay, why are those big cats over there blue? They're just hyper links. You know, all those links that you see that goes to a Lincoln line. Okay, maybe these aren't that funny. Did you hear about the lady who bought a fur coat? She wanted to be the Miss in Lynx. And the final one for this constellation is Lynx just ate 50 rabbits. Well, that was a hungry lynx. I guess it must have been a bad hair day. Okay, this is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide number 17. We're going to go through some of these pretty quickly, looking at the time. To find Lynx, start at Orion and go north, and you should arrive at the Bright Star Capella, which is about overhead. Slide number 18. Then go to the left or east, and you'll run into the faint stars of the constellation of Lynx. Slide number 19, please. 12 Lynx, the triple star system, with the A and B components separated by only about 1.5 times the diameter of our solar system, giving it a separation of only 1.7 arc seconds as seen from the Earth. Component C is about 8.7 arc seconds from the A and B pair. 38 Lynxes, a nice double star with differing colors between the two members. One is an orange and the other one is an intense cyan. Slide number 20, please. NGC 2419 is a very distant globular cluster, commonly known as the Intergalactic Wanderer, because of many years it was believed not to be part of the Milky Way's family of globular clusters. Nowadays, however, it's generally accepted to be a long, highly elliptical, eccentric and elliptical orbit around the Milky Way. NGC 2419 was believed for many years to be the most distant globular cluster known until further and fainter globular clusters were finally found. The most recent estimates place it at about 300,000 light years from our solar system. Slide number 21, please. The constellation of Cancer, the crab, represents the crab that Juno sent to further harass and distract Hercules while he battled the monstrous Hydra. The crab nipped at Hercules' toes with its claws and was soon crushed and killed by Hercules. Juno placed it in the sky to commemorate it. Oh no, we have another round of jokes because we have two constellations this week. Slide number 22, please. How do crustaceans celebrate birthdays? Remember, this is related to our other constellations, Cancer, the crab. So how do crustaceans celebrate birthdays? With crab cakes. Oh, come on, over here in Echoing. Someone's got to be laughing over here. What do you call a crab that does not like to share? Shellfish. Okay. Why did the hermit crab refuse to go in its shell? Because he was claustrophobic. Okay. What do you call a female crab who is also single? Michelle. Okay. A crab walks into a bar and the bartender says, "I can't serve you, you're already walking sideways." Okay, slide number 23. Let's get out of this quick. To find Cancer, you can go south of Lynx, but you'll also find it in between the constellations of Leo and Gemini. That was slide number 23. Slide number 24. I'm skipping through a lot of stuff. I have a couple of stars on there that I'm not even going to mention. Zeta Canceri, that's the genitive form of Cancer. It's also known as Pygmeni, which also means covering, referring to the crab's shell or exoskeleton. It's a triple star system. Now there's an A, B, and C star. But the shifts in the orbit of star C determined that there might be a D component and was finally physically resolved using an adaptive optics camera on the 3.6 meter Canadian Trans-Hawaii telescope in the year 2000. Slide number 25, please. M44 is known as the beehive cluster of the Perseus, which is Latin for manger, and the beehive nickname is relatively recent. It turns out that that word Perseus also can be interpreted as manger or beehive. The manger interpretation is an older of the two and represents the manger in which the two donkeys are feeding. The beehive interpretation is also appropriate since the stars in the cluster resemble a swarm of bees. Slide number 26. M67 is another open cluster lying about 9 degrees south of M44, easily found just west of Alpha Centauri. Sharp-eyed viewers can see it with an unaided eye from a dark sky site when conditions just right. Provides an interesting comparison to M44 because it's much further away at 2,600 light years compared to M44's only 515 light years. M67 is also an unusual in a different way. Its stellar population is unlike most galactic open clusters. Instead, it has stars with spectral colors and magnitudes more like those of a globular cluster. So it's more uniform. M67 has been so intensely studied that accurate colors and magnitudes are known for over 500 of the stars, down to 16th magnitude. And slide number 27, please. There are more Astronomical League observing program objects in the constellation of Lynx and Cancer. I've just given you a sampling of a few of those objects. The Astronomical League has over 70 different programs. In fact, I think I counted 72 yesterday when I was counting them, which have about 100 objects in each program. If you observe just 10 objects in the observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pen in about a year. Slide number 28, please, and that's Miss Carolyn's constellation of the Lynx, and Cancer the Crab. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson and Dennis Harwell for the research and words on the deep sky objects that I've used, borrowed, and stolen tonight, as I do every week. I also at times use the website constellation-guide.com for information too. Next week we'll take a look at two constellations again, Leo the Lion and Leo Minor the Small Lion. And back to you. This is KF5JHA.
Great, thank you very much, Chaz. Yeah, those are constellations I haven't really spent a lot of time stargazing in. I've looked at M44 before, but haven't really spent time with Lynx, so thanks for bringing that. Since we're running short on time, I'm just going to give some quick information about how you can follow space launches for the week. There's www.spacecostlaunches.com, and there's also spaceflightnow.com for Spaceflight Now launch schedule. And also you can use www.heavens-above.com to find out what's in orbit and where to look during flyovers for visible satellite passages and International Space Station. I think we'll have to do the recent astronomical discoveries another time. So, Tom, I'm going to turn the net over to you. If you will do a final check-in round and get me a final count for this evening's net, KE5ICX from KF5PDS.
Thank you, Miss Billy. This is KE5ICX. I'll take a final round of check-ins. If you'd like to join us this evening, please come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from. Interesting. Any final check-ins, please come now. Calling. Miss Billy, we had 25 check-ins this evening. Back to net control, KE5I6.
Hey, copy that, Tom. Tonight we had 25 hams participating on the air. So thank you to all who checked in this evening. We hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We're always looking for net control stations for this and all the other DARC nets. If you'd like to try your hand at this, contact any of the net controls by sending an email to nets@w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussions about this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video streams, video archives, and other useful Internet resources by going to w5fc.org at the conclusion of this net. So until next Saturday night, this is KF5PDS, Billy, and I'll be closing the net at 22:29 local time and returning the repeater to normal amateur use. 73, everybody, and enjoy the evening discovering the universe. And remember, following this net is the Afterglow movie net, where there will be the discussion about 1978's Superman the movie. 73, everyone.
Billy, for doing tonight's net. Excellent net, as always, and interesting topics. Don't forget, we have in 5 minutes, go powder your noses, we'll be back for Superman the movie. Who wants to be net control? Who wants to be Spartacus? Please come now.
Completely operational, and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
Afterglow movie net. Realize you get to make comments throughout. If you like Superman the movie, being net control probably would be a lot of fun because you can interject through the whole thing. Who wants to be Spartacus? Or, I don't know, Superman.
Okay, you're having difficulty, Tom, so I will stand up and wave my hand. N5BB.
Hey, Phil, you got it. 600 seconds from now, you're net control. And Spartacus. Don't fail us. See you in 5 minutes. KT5IC.
I am Spartacus. Don't you know my other name is Kurt Douglas, N5BB? minute to go if anyone needs to use the repeater before we start the Afterglow net. This is N5BB. I am Spartacus. I don't want all the rest of you jumping up and yelling out that you are too. This is N5BB, November 5, Bravo, Bravo, and this is the Afterglow net. Believe it or not, this is a semi-controlled net, and we meet each Saturday evening at roughly 10:30 p.m. after Skynet to discuss a movie, usually but not always science fiction, and they could be very old black and white movies, or they could be rather recent, color Dolby movies, whatever. Tonight we're talking about Superman, the 1978 movie, starring Christopher Reeves as Superman and many other interesting actors and actresses. So, the structure of this net is we're first going to do check-ins, which reminds me I need to get Echolink running here. So, while I work on that, after check-ins, we're going to talk about the plot, the characterization, and special effects and other topics. So, since my iPad is still trying, well, that's weird. Oh, I see the problem. Hang on here. Oh. Now we got Echolink starting up at the wrong app. Oh, hang on here. We are connecting and we're there. Very good. Okay, now let's start with RF check-ins. We'll do Echolink later. Let's start with RF check-ins for Afterglow. This is N5BB, and we are discussing Superman, the 1978 movie. Please come now with your call sign and your name only.
Hello, Echo 5, India, Charlie, X-Ray, Tom, Louisville. And I'll add, I did see the movie a few million times.
Yes, I forgot. After you say your name, please tell us whether you saw the movie. Anyway, go ahead. Do we have any other RF check-ins to Afterglow?
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima. This is Brenda, and I did see this movie.
I know the repeater's having trouble, but that's a very bad showing here on RF. Are there any other people that would like to check into RF before we go to Echolink? This is N5BB, Afterglow movie net. Maybe a short net. Let's go over to Echolink now. Who wants to check in from Echolink? I see several stations, but I don't know who wants to get on here. If for some reason you can't come on audio, please leave me a text message on the Echolink. This is N5BB. We're talking about Superman, the movie. Go ahead.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey, Jamie Weatherford. I have seen the film.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Papa Delta Sierra, Billy and Sherman. Yes, I have seen the film.
This Kilo Golf 5, Papa Mike November, James, Oklahoma. I saw the movie years ago.
Okay, well, that's everybody that was on Echolink. I recognize on RF, KE5ICX, Tom, WB5OZL, Brenda, on Echolink, KG5EZWJ, KF5PDF, Billy, KG5PMN, James in Oklahoma. And everybody, including me, has seen the movie. Is there anyone else that would like to check in to the Afterglow net? Tonight we're talking about Superman, the 1978 movie. If you'd like to check in, please come now with your name, call sign, and whether you saw the movie. Over.
So Echo 5, Romeo, South Plano. I have seen the movie, but it has been a very long time. I can't remember. Was Gene Hackman who played the Nemesis in that movie?
Okay, the station in Plano, this repeater's having trouble. You're very noisy in the repeater. Please give me your call sign phonetically and your name again. Over.
Up my power a little bit. Kilo, Echo 5, Romeo, Lima, Romeo. The name is Mike. Plano is the location. Yes, I've seen the movie, but it's been so long I can't remember most of it. But I was thinking about his arch villain, the enemy, Lex Luthor.
Okay, Mike, well, we'll be talking about that. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to check in to the Afterglow net? This is inside DB Net Control. I have applied a randomization function that's not really random, but I'm going to pick everybody out of order. So first, we're going to start talking about the plot. And Tom, KE5ICX, what did you think about the plot of this fine flick, which I think about everybody in the world has seen? In 5BB, go ahead, Tom.
Hello, Bill, and everybody on the net. I have a feeling you'll get additional check-ins later on. When I first saw this film in the theater, 1978, my young brother, decided that he wanted to see this thing, and I said, all right, I'll take you to the movie, and of course I'd pay for him to go there, which is interesting because I still do that with him today, and he's 53 years old. At any rate, the thing about the film is this. I thought it was great. I enjoyed it. Now, we had the special effects and the really cool thing from Star Wars a year earlier, so we're expecting a high bar special effects. We didn't get that so much in this, but we can talk about that later. What I did love about the film is the story. This is a comic book story. It's the first one really brought out on a big screen like this, and you're thinking, what are they going to do with this thing? How are they going to make this thing seem authentic? And they did make it feel authentic. Christopher Reeves was great as Superman. Lois Lane, it was engaging. All right, I know that's characterization, but the story was great. It just simply worked. It was super crazy stuff. You know, the whole thing about blowing up California and it falls in the ocean. It's been a common story for a long time, and part of sarcasm too, I suppose. But what really worked is that they tried to make this feel real, and I love that. Yes, it's superhuman. You got to figure it all out, and fit it in common things. And science fiction, we've done science fiction films in the past. And this one doesn't quite pass for that because how do you have all this superhuman stuff? We don't have that. But what I love about it is that they make it feel very authentic in the process. And I just think that is really great. To be honest, a lot of these comic book stories that are now common miss the point. They miss the point. The humanism, they miss the commonality, how do you describe this? All right, let me reset because I want to say this. The thing about this movie that I really enjoyed, and it's the first foray, as I mentioned earlier, about a comic book, is that they try and make it human. It's not superhuman. It's about the human parts of the superhuman stuff. And that's what makes it really engaging. It's really great. And I have these extraordinary powers. I don't want to use them. I don't know what to do with them. I'm not sure why I should. It takes me a long time to figure them out. And when I do, I'm still doubtful about what I'm doing, but I do have kind of this affection for Lois Lane. I care about what I do, and I want to do the right thing, which sounds like all of us. The current films that you see today have nothing to do with any of that. It has everything to do with blowing things up and using laser beams and making things happen, and it just turns into a video game to me. Of course, I'm an old fart. Maybe other people see something in it that I don't see. But Superman, the movie, had real heart, had real feeling, and it wasn't about the super part. It was about the man. It was about people caring about each other and trying to keep things together, trying to make things happen that mattered, which is what we all want to do, I think. We want to keep our world together. We want to be capable and commemorative to things going on. I don't know. All right, I'm stumbling over my words and thinking forward. But I like this movie. I wasn't so keen on it. Today at 60, how old am I? 62, 63. I like it. I like it a lot. I like the idea. I like the whole idea of Superman actually being the everyday man, when you think about it. The guy who has to figure it all out. KE5IC.
Okay, thanks, Tom. By the way, the noise is getting so bad that you were just barely holding the repeater a few times. It may be the same for me and other stations, so we apologize if people have a hard time hearing, but we can't do anything about it today. Okay, thank you, Tom. Now let's move to Billy, KF5PDS. Billy, what did you think about the plot of Superman, the 1978 movie? This is in fact BB, Capture Glonet.
Great, thank you, Bill. Yeah, I agree with what Tom said. I really like this movie too, and yeah, I think this was the first, like comic book movie. So they really, kind of set the tone and for future movies, and I agree about, you know, the human aspect and everything, which we can talk about more in characterization, because there's so much characterization you can talk about. It's hard to talk about plot without talking about the characters, but I thought it was cool how, you know, we got to see the origin of Superman and, you know, see it on the screen, because many people had, you know, loved the comics and had been reading the comics for decades and decades. And I wasn't huge into comic book reading, but I was familiar with the Superman story, and of course the portrayal of the 1950s, the Superman TV show. Got to see some of those in reruns. They would have them on television, and so we got to see, you know, some of the TV show, but seeing it on the big screen, full color as a feature-length film, and it was just really spectacular, made it larger than life. And so I thought it was great to see how Superman, you know, comes to Earth and gets adopted by the Kents, and you see his adolescence growing up. You know, I thought it was great seeing the chronology of the evolution of Superman, and how his you know, interaction with Lex Luthor, you know, comes about. And, you know, I just thought it was great action. It developed well. I don't remember, it's been a while since I've seen it. I didn't get to watch it recently, but I don't remember any lapses in action, or, you know, there's good exposition. And it, I remember had a good length, and I really enjoyed when they made Superman 2, and I watched that one more than I watched the original. But you know, because the follow-up sequel was, to me, you know, as good or better than the original. So I really enjoyed Superman, the movie. It's one I would definitely go back and watch again and again. And it's thoroughly enjoyable. So I really enjoyed the plot and thought it moved well and had a good length. So with that, I'll return it to you. This is KF5 PDS, back to net.
Good, Billy. Next, let's go to James, KG5PMN in Oklahoma. James, what did you think about the plot of Superman, the 1978 movie? This is N5BB and the Afterglow Net.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Papa Mike November. I didn't watch one this week, and like the other operator said, I watched it back in the 70s, but I really don't remember that much on it. It does seem like it kind of followed the TV script fairly closely, and Christopher Reeves did a good job in playing the movie, and but as far as the plot goes, I really don't remember that much about it anymore. Back to the net, KG5PMN.
Good, James. Next, let's go to Mike, KE5RLR. Are you still there, Mike? You're in the same situation of James. You haven't seen it in years, I don't believe. Do you want to make any comments about the plot? KE5RLR. This is N5BB, Afterglow Net.
N5BB, this is KE5RLR. Good evening to you and to the net. It has been so long since I've seen it, I remember very little about it, except that, as previously mentioned by someone, the superpowers aren't the big part about it. It's about the human intent and the outcome of the endeavor. That's what I got out of it. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. This is Kilo Echo 5, Romeo, Lima Romeo, back to the net.
That was a really good point. Thank you for making it specifically there. Okay, now let's go to Brenda, WB5OZL. Brenda, what did you think about the plot? This is N5BB, Afterglow Net.
This is WB5OZL. What a Superman. That's how I feel. I love the series in the 50s, and I love this movie so much. My kids watched it so many times that I could practically recite it, and I just never grew tired of it. It's just a wonderful movie. And I have no quarrel with the plot whatsoever. It was totally understandable. Didn't have any big holes in it, and I just thought it was a really good plot. This was a really uncomplicated story about good versus evil, and we know who's good and who's not, and we're glad to see when good wins. And actually, I like the fact that there wasn't any gore. Superman never kills anybody, so there wasn't the gratuitous slash and walls kind of thing. I like that. This movie had kind of an innocence to it. Superman is just, or Clark Kent is just a really good person, and trying to do good, and most of the people in the movie were just super people, and then, of course, you've got the bad guys, the villains. A lot of stereotypes are comic book characters, which is what it's supposed to be. People are a little over the edge, like Luthor was, he wasn't just bad, he was just really bad. And I kind of made it fun. It was funny. A lot of it was fairly humorous. I like that. It's lighthearted fun. And a great adventure. The action never stops, and you're just on the edge of your seat. It's a perfect movie. Back to that, WB50ZL.
Brenda, thank you very much. Let's see, next it's time for Jay, KG5BZW. What you think about the plot, Jay? K5BB, Afterglow.
This is KG5BZW. Okay, plot. Well, it was too long. Overall, I don't know. I'll have to admit, Superman 2 is my jam, not this film. I'll grant this is the first. I had to look it up if this was the first majorly funded superhero film. I mean, there were other superhero films and other, mythical guys, Zorro and, of course, Batman and whatnot. But the only thing, the only two real things I like about this film are the music and the music. Actually, there's something else I wanted to say, but there is just the whole. There's. I should have stayed around for the credits because, there's not just John Williams' music, but there's also some music that was played. I don't know how many times in the 80s and 70s. Well, not late 70s, I guess, whatever. And, just played over and over. Just, or maybe I'm confusing this with the theme with another, but, well, the Lois Lane theme, I seem to recall it being played over and over on certain stations. But, yeah, I've always just kind of felt this film was kind of a mess, and I've just not been that fond of Superman. He's just too super. That's part of the problem for me. And in this film, he really is super. I just about lost it when he was going through the Earth's core, and then, of course, to top that off, he just flies around backwards so fast to reverse time. What? That doesn't make sense. I know. This is Superman. He does a lot of crazy things. What to say? Lex Luthor is I did like Gene Hackman's rendition. He didn't get to do that much, honestly. But I mean, he did great with what he could do. Of course, Christopher Reeve. Hold on, I'm getting too ahead of myself here. So there's that. There's the length was something I was at. I just the first part. Yeah, it's the introduction, but it is awfully tedious, and it's one of those weird things where I felt like there was so much that they could do to introduce him, but it just seemed like it was drawn out and simultaneously just too much to really put in there. I don't know. It's hard to say. Let me reset. It's also kind of interesting. Just let me see. I had a note here. Okay, hold on. I switched to notes, and I'm not sure. Echo Link stopped. Just the Fortress of Solitude at the Caps. That's kind of interesting. This is not movie related so much as to say how much really has changed since the 70s, when this film and those early 80s and whatever, we had definitely a polar ice cap at North Pole. And so, Fortress of Solitude, somewhere around there, didn't seem all that, it seemed, quite treacherous to get there. Just the perfect place for Superman to be. Nowadays, I know the ice regrows every year, but it's not nearly like it was. Let's just say. I wanted to say something else. I don't know if it was about the telephone booths or some other. Oh yeah, the fact that the newspaper could afford a helicopter. How many newspapers can do that these days? And I don't know. I wonder if even TV stations. I guess it probably can still, but man. Anyway, that's kind of beside the point. But those are my comments. KG5 BTW back in that.
Thank you, Jay. So Jay has a contrarian view. He didn't like it as much. This is N5BB and Afterglow Net. Tonight we're talking about Superman, the 1978 movie. And I'm last, so I get to talk about the plot now. Well, I liked it. I just liked the movie. I've seen it a couple times in the past, probably several times. And by the way, since it came out 43 years ago, you have to be at least in your 50s to have seen this when it first came out in 1978. But several of us here on the net are in that greater than 50 age category, so it's not hard for us to have a discussion about this. I liked the movie. And I agree with Tom and others that it made it very believable, and the backstory on Krypton I thought was very good, and just the whole thing seemed like it could have happened. I think they did a good job on that. The writer of the story was Mario Puzo, who is best well known for all the Godfather stories. He also wrote the story for Earthquake and some other movies. The one problem I have with the story, I would say, and part of this is it came from 1978 when mores were different. It's a very sexist movie. I mean, look at this. Superman came and swept Lois Lane off her feet, and the women in the movie may have been brave to do a few things, but they were very obviously women and not in charge of anything. So if you go back to Krypton, it appeared to me that all the people that were shown on Krypton in the governing committee, I think were all men. And Superman's father, Jal-El, was in charge of everything around his family. His mother was shown, but she was just kind of carrying the baby and those kind of things. She had nothing to do, evidently, with the spacecraft or any of the other decisions. And then when you come to the Daily Planet, my golly, that was completely run by men. And although there was one woman there, really, that we hear of, Lois Lane, she was shoved aside when Clark Kent came in. Perry just pushed her aside, put Perry in her old position. And so, I don't know. That's the way things were, stories were back then. But that's, I think, partially because it was Mario Puzo that was the author. And he was born in 1920, and, he wrote all those, Italian center, very macho kind of movies. Anyway, but everything else I liked about it, about the plot, I actually liked the fact that they went into the Krypton backstory quite a bit, and they talked about the Kent family a bit, and Clark Kent in school, and then how he got started the Daily Planet. I liked the fact that the Daily Planet office was shown several times on the inside. And I liked the fact they included Jimmy Olsen. These are things people I knew about from the comic from the comic books. But it's really nice that they all made it into the movie. I think that was very good touches. And I liked it. Okay, end of my comments about the plot. Now let's talk about the characters, the characterizations. How did the actors do? Maybe how was what about the selection of the actors? What about the casting? And how were the characters written? And how did the actors do their job? Everything around the characters. Tom, it's your turn. KU5ICX. This is N5BB. This is the Afterglow Network talking about Superman.
Bill, I think the casting was really well done in this movie. Christopher Reeves does a wonderful job as Superman. You can certainly appreciate that. Lois Lane, who is played by, I can't think of her name right now, she did a great job. She, the beat is that she has a thing for Superman, and that whole flying sequence, by the way, with the John Williams music and everything, it's like How could you not like that? That was really kind of cool. Really enjoyed that a lot. Lex Luthor, with Gene Hackman playing Lex, was really great. I loved it. His whole attitude was one that, in fact, it kind of set me off. I was on a chat last night and going, oh, geez, I get this a lot. Probably overload for me because I deal with that stuff all the time. People who kind of get it but don't get it, and then you get into this whole attitude, and I think my hair is going to fall out or something. It's literally what happened to Lex Luthor. I get it. It's hard to, be objective in that way when you're already dealing with all of that. The only thing that I really wish I had, though, is that that super cool flooded train station underneath Metropolis, New York, was pretty cool. I like that a lot. And people are looking, as Lex everybody's running around going, living in these little tiny hovels and cost him a fortune. He's underground and has this massive thing that he's put all the money into and made it work for nothing. I like that. I like a character like that, being innovative and being creative. He's also obsessive and vindictive at the same time, so you got to put up with those parts too. This Tessmacher doesn't get it. He sees her as eye candy, but at the same time, he also knows she's not really up to the challenge. And it's interesting that it's kind of stereotypical in the sense that, well, I don't know if it's stereotypical. I think he's just kind of like surrounded himself with people who have these elements of capability and understanding, but then they don't understand the bigger plan. So they get the elements down, the particulars down. They understand their opponent. They know what their vulnerabilities are, but then they don't understand that taking over the world has to get, the right information down for the GPS information necessary in order to, destroy California. They don't get that. So it's kind of weird and fascinating at the same time. I liked Perry White. I thought he was interesting in that he was busy trying to make, well, what do we do to make the paper better and doing good things? This is back in the days, back in the 1980s when the newspapers were there, the internet was not, and as such, they were the king. And it also goes back to earlier time in the 30s and 40s, where newspapers, the pen is mightier than the sword. They're capable of doing anything. So there's this big overblown attitude through the whole thing. But it also says, and it kind of digress a little bit here off the topic, and that is that so many things change over time. And the thing is to brush, this whole attitude of, so goes GM, goes the world, which is what the Daily Planet projects in all of this, really isn't really true. Victory is fleeting, that over time things go away. And that's a digressive point. But I still like the idea that the characters see and think that they can do no wrong, that everything can be perfect. And might makes right, and you can dictate whatever is going to happen. That doesn't happen, and it's all worn down, usually by ducks. And so, Perry White probably retired off someplace and watched the whole newspaper kind of collapse thanks to the internet. And I'm sure that later versions of the thing looked at it, and you have now other characters. So let me who's, perfect, completely thinks that he's got everything going on, and he ends up captured at the end. Terry White, who's one of all the news that's print, but he also suffers from the same problems. Then you got other people. You've got Superman, who's just trying to react and act in the right way. And you've got Lois Lane. She's out there, and she's just trying to report on everything. And people think she's the best thing since sliced bread, but at the same time, she's not doing enough. I don't know. I just think that's really interesting because they're metaphors for, society and all these different groups trying to make things happen. There is, for a comic book story, I think that's really, really great. Before I digress, that's it. That's all I'll say about it. But I like the characters, but they're metaphors for even bigger struggles that are going on. I know that sounds insane, but I think it is. Back to net control, KE5I6.
Very good, Tom. You got noisy, really, really noisy at one point, but at the end you came back up. Now let's go to Billy, KF5PDS. Billy, what did you think about the characterization? This is N5BB, Afterglow Net.
Well, as Tom mentioned, I thought it was perfectly cast. Christopher Reeve is the quintessential Superman. This tall, dark, and handsome really embodies the character. Look at the comics and his character that he created for the screen was just spot on. And when they were going to do Superman Returns, I think everyone was a little nervous about who they were going to get to play Superman. When they got Brandon Routh, he again was a perfect embodiment of updated, Superman movie. But Christopher Reeve, to me, will always be Superman. He was just perfectly cast and brought the perfect amount of humanity and vulnerability and strength to the role. His Superman is just so well done. And I did like the casting of the Kents, very sweet couple that really wanted, didn't have a child, and then all of a sudden here he just lands literally in their backyard, tears up the trench in the farm, the spaceship landing, and they realized they had a very unusual child. I loved the scene when they were on the side of the road and he was like doing a jack, and the little Superman, the little Kal-El, just lifts the truck up just with no problems and they're all staring at amazement at what he's able to do, and they probably realized at that point, like, oh boy, we're going to have a time explaining this child, as his abilities evolve, because he would not have had those abilities on his home planet. It was just because of the yellow sun. Our young son gave him seemingly superpowers, and of course he had to work to conceal that. And then, of course, his love interest with Lois Lane. I'm with you, Bill. I thought that was really incredibly insensitive of Perry to just kind of dismiss her and, bring in Clark as the new head reporter or whatever. And, it's like, how many years has Lois been there doing her, breakthrough stories? And I also miss Teschmacher. I love Valerie Perrine. She was very funny in the character, but also she had a very key role, even though, as Tom mentioned, I thought of the phrase eye candy as well, but, she was the one that removed the kryptonite from Superman's neck, and saved the day, and he was able to resume, his battles, and go about, defeating the plans of the evil Lex Luthor, which I thought Gene Hackman was great. He played him with such tongue-in-cheek, cavalier humor. I just thought it was great. Gene Hackman can be super serious when he needs to be, but it was also fun to see him play a kind of a campy role. especially after doing like a heavy-hitting movie like in early 70s. He was in The Conversation, French Connection, and movies like that. To see him go from those like hard crime movies to playing still a criminal, to play a criminal like this, just in a humorous way, in a campy way. I thought he brought a lot of humor to the movie. But I thought everybody was just perfectly cast. Ned Beatty as Otis was really funny. I loved his pronunciation of Lex Luthor's name. He was always Mr. Luthor, very New York. And I just thought he was great as kind of the bumbling crony to Lex Luthor's, criminal genius. And he has this bumbling idiot as a sidekick. I thought that was hilarious. So yeah, I love the characterization. I was reading through some things about production and themes, and I don't know if some folks made mention of like Christian themes between like God and Jesus, and like Superman as a Messiah figure, meant to help humanity. So I'm not sure if that was intentional by the screenwriters or if that's just people reading into it. I always wondered about, was Superman intentionally sent to Earth, or was it just an accident? I thought he was just put in the spaceship just to get him out of Krypton. It's like, let's just get him out of here to save his life. I didn't really, after reading about that, I was like, did Jor-El really send Kal-El to Earth? I kind of was curious about that because I didn't read the comic books, so I don't know if that was really the purpose of him arriving at Earth. I always thought he just happened to land on Earth, that he was just sent off into space. But it's like, did Jor-El really program him to go to Earth? So someone more knowledgeable can answer that question for me, because I honestly don't know, and I would like to know. But I had always had it in my mind that he just arrived on Earth by accident, and then discovered he had these superpowers here, and then had to learn to channel that and blend in and, basically live among humans, and only, and then found he had these powers that he could use for good to help humanity and help defeat, evil minds like Lex Luthor. So I'd be interested to know if someone out there has more information about if Kal-El was deliberately sent to Earth, or did he just happen to land there. If someone knows the comic book lore, I'd like to know that. But other than that, the characters are, it's very much an exploration of humanity in many different facets and forms. And like Brenda said, I really do like the movie. I do like Superman 2 better, because it goes more into some backstory, especially the Donner cut. But I really do like this film, and I really enjoy the characters. So with that, I'll return it to you, Bill. This is KF5 PDS, back to net.
Thank you very much. Now let's go to James, KG5 PMN. It's been a long time, James, since you saw it, so you don't have to make any comments unless you want to. If you want to talk about the characters, KG5PMN, this is N5BB, Afterglow.net.
This is KG5PMN. I remember thinking Christopher Reeves looked really good, and Jimmy Olsen was kind of the, I don't know if you call him nerdy or just kind of the laid-back character that really didn't act like he really knew a whole lot, and just was kind of a follow-along, and a lot of the other characters I really don't remember that much about them. Back to the net, KG5PMN.
James, now it's time for Mike, KG5RLR. I know it's been a long time for you also. So, do you want to make any comments, Mike? This is N5BB, Afterglow.
Thank you. No, I don't have anything in particular to add. I've been listening, and I pretty much agree with one that had, I forget his name, played Lex Luthor. Gene Hackman. Was he in it?
Yes, he was Lex Luthor.
That's it, and I'm remembering the same movie. Yeah, I liked it. That's my 2 cents. Back to you, KE5RLR, back to the net.
Okay, but you may have been thinking about Superman 2. So, anyway. Okay, very good, thank you. Brenda, it's your turn. WB5OZL. This is N5BB Afterglow Net. What do you think about the characterization of Superman?
Well, answer to Billy's question, they deliberately sent him to the Earth. His parents were discussing this as they were getting ready to go. The mom thought it'll be different, he's not one of them, and then it was yes who became let in. And they discussed this at some length about whether this was a good choice. So it was definitely something bad did on purpose. I just thought the casting of this was so brilliant, but they spent so much time on this. Christopher Reeve beat out 200 other people as actors, and in the beginning they were going to sign an A-list actor. If you look at the Wikipedia article on this movie, it lists a lot of these and what became of things that you think, Neil Brennan tried for this, just so unbelievable. Nick Nolte, John Boyd, it's like, no, Christopher Reeve is the quintessential Superman. Nobody else could do this but him. But please, once they got him for the role, and one reason they got Margot Kidder is because she had good chemistry with Christopher Reeve. So, there was a lot of that really helped move the story along. A lot of these people were stereotypes, but that's okay. They were perfect for the role in every case that I can think of. You just believe Christopher Reeve is Superman. You just do. He just, really, really nails it. So, they filmed Superman 2 at the same time, concurrently, and it came out about 2 years later. Number 2 did, about 2 years later. And the backstories of all this reflect a bunch of politics, of people arguing and people getting on board and then getting fired or getting mad and walking away. And, there's a lot of intrigue in this. This is a lot more than just an ordinary movie. This is a super movie, and with all kinds of talent, and, the music and the acting and the sets. They really didn't skimp on this. They had a big budget, but that's okay. They made a fortune. And none of it looks like it was just a make-do or because we can't do any better or because we can't think of anything better. It looked like it was a complete job. Just, attention to detail and commitment to doing it right. All right, back to that, WB5OZL.
Thank you, Brenda. Now let's go to Jay, KG5BZW. Jay, what did you think about characterization of Superman, the 1978 movie? This is the Afterglow Net, N5BB. Take it away, Jay.
Well, this is KG5BZW. Yeah, I really can't complain much about the cast and the characters that that cast played. Besides what I've already said, just about Superman. I do like Clark. It's not Clark Kent. Christopher Reeves as both Clark Kent and Superman. Obviously, I think he does a pretty good job as the awkward Clark Kent, and then he kind of brings up the charisma and smoothness with Superman. Really, it's like character-wise, there's not that much I can complain about. That's I thought Marlon Brando as Jor-El, he did a good job. Not much to say there that I can really complain about. There's just not really. The eye candy role of Mrs. what's her name, the female henchman of Lex Luthor. I mean, there's really I thought everybody did their job wonderfully in terms of characters, and I thought the characters themselves, made sense for the story. I think I explained earlier. The overall thing just kind of. I'm not going to repeat myself, but anyway, I'm having trouble saying anything else. I think I'm just going to have to hand it to the next person. KG5BZW, back to net.
This is Inside BB and the Afterglow Net. Tonight we are discussing Superman, the 1978 movie. Does anybody else want to check in? This is Inside BB. Go ahead. Earlier, and I just forgot. Okay, now I get to talk about characterization. I think the casting choices were excellent. I think the actors did a good job, and the characterizations were written pretty well. So the big name in this movie was Marlon Brando, his Jor-El, back on Krypton. Marlon Brando, this was at kind of the peak of his career, before his career kind of started going downhill, and he became the butt of a lot of late-night television jokes, a decade later. But back in '78, Marlon Brando was still at the peak of his career. He was a really well-known actor, and I think he did a great job as Jor-El. He gave the right gravitas to it, and sensitivity, and everything. Susanna York, his wife, Superman's mom, she had been for nearly 20 years, she had been on TV and on in the movies. But she was also a very well-known actress, and pretty, and did a good job as the loving mother there. Gene Hackman, what can you say? He was the evil Lex Luthor. He did an amazingly good job. His hench people, Otis, played Annette Beatty, and Valerie Perrine played Eve. Both of those are also well-known actors, and I thought they did a good job. I mean, it was so funny watching it. Otis, what was he going to screw up next? And Eve had a sensitive bone in her body, and so she was able to rescue Superman. Otherwise, the movie would have stopped right there. Christopher Reeve. his breakout role, the first, he had done a couple of things on TV, but he made, his first movies were made that year, 1978, this movie and another movie. So I think one good thing about casting him in that place is that there were no preconceptions. This is the problem when you cast somebody, especially be like a superhero position. You kind of want somebody with no preconceptions. I mean, if they played some other character that had a totally different personality, it wouldn't work out good as Superman. So I thought it was really good that they played a newcomer who was also, physically correct for the part, and I think did a really good job with his facial expressions, his the way that he played Superman and the way he played Clark Kent. You could see the difference, and you could see at one point, him trying to he was trying to make a decision about whether to reveal himself to Lois Lane. I think he did a good job with that. Glenn Ford and Phyllis Baxter. So those are Pa and Ma Kent. Glenn Ford was a very well-known, serious actor in many, many movies. So is Phyllis Baxter. She did a lot of TV things. If you go and look at things like Alfred Hitchcock Presents, she's in a bunch of them. And she did a good job. Phyllis Baxter is kind of different. She's probably not what you'd call a classical beauty. She has this very kind of symmetrical, plain face. There's nothing wrong with it, but she's really good at showing that she's thinking about something. So you can really tell she's really good at playing characters where there's a lot of internal dialogue going on in that character's brain. And I think she did a great job at that. They aged her to make her look much older as the older Ma Kent. And Glenn Ford, the advantage of having him there, he was a very sympathetic character. You just look at Glenn Ford, and he just looks like a sympathetic character. And so the fact that he, died early in the movie, Pa Kent, of a heart attack, he was a good character to play that very sympathetic Pa Kent. I think that was great. Margot Kidder as Lois Lane. I thought she did a really good job at that. She didn't overplay it, but I thought she played it just about right. And did you notice Rex Reed? You younger people may not know who Rex Reed was. Rex Reed was a very well-known TV critic, and he had a cameo going into the building. And somebody said, "Oh, hi, Rex," and he said, "Oh, hi." And the good thing about casting him in there and putting that scene in there is it made it seem real. This made it seem like it wasn't some imaginary metropolis. It was a real metropolis. Why? Rex Reed, that we'd seen in all these things, a movie critic, there he was, acting as himself. So I think that was a really good characterization thing they threw in there. The three criminals that were banned and sent out in that little weird thing, you see much more about them in the next movie. But they were very criminal. I mean, just they didn't have to say or do much. They said a little bit. One of them said a lot. But they were just evil, evil, evil. So I thought that was a good characterization. Anyway, I was very happy with the characterization. Next, we're going to talk about the special effects, the directing, the music, everything else we haven't talked about yet. So this is where we throw everything in, the kitchen, the sink in the bath water, and everything at all we're going to talk about. So, Tom, KE5ICX, What did you think about the special effects and everything else, including the music? Can't forget that one on this movie, N5BB and Afterglow.
Thank you, Bill. This is KE5ICX. Obviously, you know, I checked in like at the very beginning because there are things about this movie I love. Several things. I'll start with the special effects. I'll end with the music. But special effects. All right, we saw Star Wars a year earlier, and they were fantastic. The whole new technologies in that were created to be able to, you know, move cameras around, and we saw the Millennium Falcon taking off, rotating around, doing its weaving in and out of stuff in a very natural way. That was very, very cool. And that was very logical. It was the next iteration of 2001. Did Superman have that? Nope, not in the least. It used the older special effects that you would expect, linear stuff, models. Fine. I don't mind that. There was nothing wrong with it. Back projections, it was obvious back projection stuff, where other times where Superman's flying, he doesn't match up with the background exactly. The background slides to the left or the right, and he's still flying, and there's no change in his cape, you know, stuff like that. All right, that's fine. It's to be expected, even though Star Wars showed something that was head and shoulders above all of that, but that's what we expected from cinema and had been part of cinema for more than 50 years prior to. With that all being said, there's another part of the film that absolutely works, and it is John Williams' score. One of the best scores ever written for any movie, anywhere. A march at the very beginning, the drums, the French horns, everything comes into this thing. It is wonderful. The heralding sound. Jeez, who can't love that theme? You're sitting there and going, and it's fantastic. I have to tell you, watched the movie last night and today, all I could think of was the love theme. Can you read my mind? Hey, it just keeps running through my head. It's like a music worm. It's a wonderful theme. Now, Margaret Kidder could not sing it, obviously, but there was somebody who did, and it went out, and it actually played in clubs and everything else with the original score by John Williams, and I thought, God, this is really great. I love it. The music really hits home a lot, and maybe that is the best part of it, although the casting was fantastic. The story was very good. The whole thing at 2.5 hours just played out like nothing, like in no time. It just had everything going for it. But the definite plus here was the music more than anything else. Casting great. The music actually put it over the top, and I think that's what really made this film work for me, and it continues to do so. I don't think anybody can beat John Williams on any of that. He's just a wonderful composer. He's an A-list silver guy, and you know me, I love musical scores. This one's up there, up in the top 10. KE5I6.
Distracted, Tom. Are you finished?
My last comment was that Superman was killed at the very end, and I really missed that a lot. KE5I6.
Okay. I'm sorry. Very good. So, number 2, Billy, KF5PDS. Billy, what do you think about special effects, music, and everything we haven't talked about before in 5BB after Net? Go ahead, Billy.
much to add. I mean, I thought the special effects were, they were okay for the time. Having to do, like green screen or blue screen with mats and things like that. And 78, was right after Star Wars had come out in 77. So I didn't look at the production to see who did the special effects. I don't know if it was anybody from ILM or if it was a different crew. But I'm with Tom. I love John Williams' score. John Williams is probably, the greatest contemporary composer of our time, especially, with movies, such memorable scores. So I don't know that I have much to add on either topic. I'm getting really tired. So I just wanted to thank Brenda for filling in. It's been many years since I've seen this film, so I couldn't remember all the particulars about Superman, being sent to Earth. So I appreciate Brenda for filling that in for me. I would like to see the movie again at some point, but at this point I really don't have anything else to add. So I'll just send it back to you, Bill. This is KF5 PDS, back to net.
Thank you, Billy. Next is time for James, KG5PMN up in Oklahoma. I know it's been many years since you saw it, James. Are you still there? And do you want to say anything else about the movie? KG5PMN and the group in 5BB after Net.
This is KG5PMN. Seems like I do remember the part, since I mentioned California falling off, about him reversing everything and bringing the San Andreas fault back up and making everything back right again by reversing everything. But it seems like I remember the flying scene where he takes Lois on the flight and flies her around and shows her the sights and things of that nature. But don't remember a whole lot more about it, but I'll send it back to the net, KG5PMN.
Mike, KG5RLR. I know it's been a long time since you've seen it. Do you want to make any more comments about special effects, music, or anything else in the movie? KE5RLR, N5BB, and the Afterglow Net. Mike is left. Next we have Brenda, WB5OZL. Hey Brenda, what do you think about special effects, music, anything else you want to say about the movie? This is N5BB. Afterglow Net talking about Superman.
WB5OZL. Well, John Williams has never written a bad note. He is so wonderful, and most of his movies are so enhanced by his scores. He's just magic. That's all I can say. And this one really lived up to expectations. It enhanced the movie. It really helped make it. Of course, the special effects are wonderful. A lot of them were kind of just, simple stuff. He was on wires, and it made him look like he was flying. It's very old technology. But, and they did, of course they did some green screens. And they really put a lot of effort into this, and it worked. The special effects were just top rate, I think. All right, that's all I got. WB5OZL.
Okay, now let's go to Jay, KG5BZW. Jay, do you have any final comments in 5BB and Afterglow?
KG5BZW. Yeah, I don't know that I can really say anything about. I'm tired too. Anything to add to anything that anybody else has said? I know for a fact that the music, I actually get some of the music in this film. I mean, the love music that we've all talked about here somehow gets confused in my mind with the another famous Christopher Reeve film, Somewhere in Time. The theme there for some reason, just probably because it's Christopher Reeve, but even though different composers and everything, but yeah, great music. The special effects, yeah, it's just some of it obviously looks. I almost thought that it was intentionally, looking kind of like they did in the '60s, just because that might bring it back to, maybe some adults watching the film at the time might bring them back to, how it's maybe some old TV shows or whatever. I don't know. It's been so long since I've seen the TV show from that era with, Christopher's father. But dang, I lost my train of thought here. Yeah, I almost thought it was almost intentionally kind of like that in some of the sequences. Some of it was just. I mean, it's aged definitely. It ages the film. It definitely looks. There were a few things that looked kind of spectacular, and a lot that didn't. But that's not. The music is really the thing, I think. Anyway, back to net. K25BGW.
Hey, thank you, Jay. This is N5DB. I'm last. This is the N5DB. This is the Afterglow net we need each week here. And tonight we're talking about Superman, the 1978 movie. And I watched the Superman black and white TV shows that were from the late 50s and early 60s, I believe, is when they were filmed. And I specifically remember the black and white ones. There may have been some color, but at least a lot of them were black and white. And I like Christopher Reeve a lot better as Superman. It just general attitude is much better, I thought. Anyway, going back to special effects and music, John Williams. Well, if you just listen to a little bit of the Superman theme, this is instantly recognizable. You know you've heard this. It's immediate. It is such a catchy thing. It's a march that starts up. It's incredibly catchy. He did a really good job with that. The special effects, I agree with other people, it was good enough. It wasn't super fancy. It was good enough for what they needed. And it was kind of standard fare for, mid-70s kind of movies. And things are starting to change. I mean, at that point, they're getting ready to go, much more of this digital stuff. That cost a lot of money back then. It took a huge amount of time. But it wasn't quite time for that. Only one or two studios had access to that for a while. If you want to get an idea, 4 years later, in 1982, U2 what kind of special effects look like, go and look at the official YouTube video for O Superman. That's the letter O, Superman, about Laurie Anderson. And I think it's very interesting to look at that and look at some of the special effects she did on that, which were not fancy digital effects. So, you know, it may have been basic, but no fancy CGI. Most of them were pretty straightforward, but they were still rather innovative. So it kind of takes you back into that late 70s, early 80s mind frame. As an example, in O Superman, she talks about here come the airplanes, smoking or non-smoking. That shows you it was several decades ago, smoking on airplanes. Anyway, with regards to the other things on the movie, you know, I thought the directing wasn't extra special maybe, and the camera effects, there was not anything super special. But it was all good enough. I mean, you saw the helicopter hanging there. You saw it from angles. You saw the people on the ground. You saw the helicopter coming down. And you saw Superman picking it up and picking it back, you know, taking it back up again. And it was all believable, completely believable from my point of view. And that's all that really matters. You know, you can spend a huge amount of money and extra things to do fancier special effects, but if it's believable, it's good enough. Okay, that's all that I have really. Does anyone else have anything else to say about Superman, the 1978 movie, before we close down the net? This is N5 BB, Afterglow Net. Takers. JJ, N5IMS, was making some comments on Echolink, but he hasn't come in on voice, so maybe he doesn't want to make any comments on here. Okay, I think we're closing the net. Tom, we still got 3 minutes before midnight, so we're right on time. And I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And everybody, 7 participants, and everybody had listened or watched the movie. Some of them decades ago, but at least everybody had seen it, so it was pretty good. Okay, that's everything I've got, Tom. I'm going to close down the net and turn it over to KE5ICX to learn what we're going to do next week. This is N5BB closing the Afterglow net and turning it over to KE5ICX.
Is it a net or isn't it a net? Aquanet. Okay. Next week's movie. This was recommended by one of our regulars. I won't say who because he hasn't been on in a while, but he put it out. And this one actually is maybe not a science fiction movie so much as it is about making a science fiction story that might end up as a movie. It's called Gentlemen Broncos from 2010. I have not seen it. It is a film from Germany, but I understand it's very good, and it is available. I'll put out all the links. If you want additional information, go to Afterglow Movie, 2 words, on YouTube. I'm sorry, on what the heck is it? Facebook. Go to Facebook. You'll find it there. Otherwise, if you don't do that sort of thing, send an email to me, Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, KE5ICX at yahoo.com. Say you want to join the group. I'll send you the movie information and links as best as I understand them. Nearly every movie that we do is, I don't know, available with ads, so you can see the films. That's it from me. This is KE5ICX back to net control.
Okay, Tom. Gentleman Broncos, 2009. It's from Germany. Is it directly in English, or is it dubbed or subtitled? Do you know?
I don't know. I'm checking right now. Of course, I don't know. It's available on the Internet Movie Database. Let's see here. I'm not sure. I've not seen it. I haven't reviewed it, so I don't know. Oh, man. Well, it looks different. Let's see here. Do they have a... I don't know. It looks different. From the director of Napoleon Dynamite. But it's still German, I guess.
Elvis has left the building.
GigNet every fourth Monday at 7 p.m. W5FC.
Well, I thought I'd just check. Okay, so we will see. I'm looking for the technical specs. Man, where do they hide the language? They do a very good job hiding it. You'd think it'd be right up front. Anyway, see you next week for Gentleman Broncos, 2009 movie from Germany. Good evening to everybody. In 5BB clear.
Watching the preview. This looks nuts. I think it is an American film. This may be very entertaining or terrible, but I think it will be entertaining. KE5I6.
Yes, I see now. Wikipedia says it's a 2009 American comedy film. So maybe there's some German influence in it, but it was an American comedy film. Anyway, 89 minutes long. I think we can handle that in 5BB. The box office was only $118,000. No, wait a minute. Something's wrong here. The budget was $10 million, and the box office was $118,000. That's what it says on Wikipedia in 5BB clear.
Bill, I just watched the preview on it. I think I'm going to like it. It's totally madness. All right, see y'all later. Bye-bye, bye-bonds. KE5ICX. I'm also clear.
W5FC.
It was intended to be released theatrically in 2009. Due to poor reviews, the national release was pulled from theaters. The film received mostly negative reviews, 19% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, self-consciously juvenile and overwhelmingly quirky, a lot of potty humor, and isn't terribly funny. Robert Ebert gave it a 2 out of 4 stars. Disjointed and meandering story. Well, we're gonna be brave and wade into it, Tom. In 5BB clear.
Okie dokie. We keep saying we're clear, and then we're not. But in any case, I'm going to go watch the, I think it's Space Colonists, Lost in Space, one of their last episodes when they actually make it to Alpha Centauri, sort of. Maybe not. See you later. KE5ICX, I really am clear now. Bye.
Okay. On MeTV, the Jupiter 2 is still lost in space in 5BB clear.
time is 12:05 a.m.